am your host, Pile Kanyile, and I am very excited to tell you guys that I'm not here alone. I'm joined by my panelists, whom I will ask to just quickly switch on their cameras so they'll also introduce themselves to you guys, and then we can start with today's topic, singleness, singlehood, whatever you want to call it. Being your own soulmate, sort of finding companionship in your own space. My panelists, can you please switch on your cameras so that we can quickly introduce ourselves and then get to the business of today? There we go. Hi, Kia. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks, and yourself?
I'm good. Could you just please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hey guys, I'm Kiolibwa Sefako. I'm a BA Communication graduate and I hold an honors degree in journalism and media studies. I'm single, ready to mingle. I'm just gonna keep it short and simple.
I love it. I love it. I think most of us are not putting ourselves out there, and I think you have just opened the door for that, to just put ourselves out there, let it be known we are single, but we do want to get back into the game.
Exactly.
Phineas, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm single, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to mingle.
Okay.
I'm originally from Limpopo, a small town called Falvater, but I live in Cape Town now. I run an organization that advocates for victims of gender-based violence, homelessness, and human trafficking in Cape Town. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I guess my first thought and question to you guys is, how long have you guys been single and why have you remained single? I'll start with you, Kia.
Oh my word, I've been single for a very long time. I feel like I'm not ready to get married yet, and I'm still trying to discover myself. So hence why I'm single. Being like, marriage is a big step. So being single helps you to get to know other people, also find yourself. So that's where I'm at currently. Yeah.
Right. And you, Phineas?
I honestly would say I'm in a healing season because I was married before. So I'm not looking for a rebound, I would say. And I think it's very important that, people who have been hurt before, they give themselves time to heal themselves, to find themselves before they can try to find somebody else. Otherwise, we end up bleeding on people that didn't hurt us. So yeah, I think I'm single by choice, also because I've put myself in a season where I'm trying to heal and trying to bounce back in a very healthy way, so that I become a better, husband, better father, better leader. So I would say, yeah, it's single by choice, healing, and trying to become a better man for myself. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, from what you guys are both saying, I'm sort of getting purpose, right? In sort of redefining your purpose and refining your purpose. And I wanna sort of get us to talk about singleness and purpose and how it aligns with where you are in life and where you wanna be. Is being single sort of what you need to be right now for things that you want to achieve to happen, or it will happen either way? It doesn't really affect, you know. So I'm going to start with you, Phineas. How is singleness and your purpose aligning, or rather, not aligning?
I'm a Christian. I think one of the things that I believe in is that God gave Adam a purpose before he gave him a wife, before he gave him a helper, because it's very pointless and to expect a woman to help you when you have nothing. So I think purpose is very important before you can bring in somebody in your life to help you, but not just to help you fulfill your purpose. Women also have a purpose. And men have a role to really help them become who God created them to be. So it's not just a woman becoming a helper to a man, but it's also a man becoming a helper to the woman. So I believe that, purpose is very important because purpose kind of helps you become focused, and narrows, the people and the places and the things that you should be around, because those three things shape who you are and who you become. So I think, when people try to find someone without finding themselves, I'm like, that's a red flag. How can you find someone when you
Yes.
found yourself? Otherwise you end up trying to find yourself in someone, and that person becomes your identity, and you build your home in this person, which what I know is that when you build your home in someone, you give them the power to make you homeless. So it's important that you build a home yourself, so that if people leave, you don't become homeless. So I believe in finding
Right.
I believe in finding yourself first before you can try to find somebody else, and be okay with being alone and being your own person, and not trying to.
That's very difficult. That's very difficult. Being okay with being alone, it's quite difficult. But before I explore into that, Kia, can I just come to you and hear your thoughts on that?
Well, being single helps you to find yourself and discover yourself. Because when you're single, you can learn more about yourself. So before you invest in another
Mm,
person, you need to love yourself first. Because what I've realized is that in most cases we would jump into a relationship because we feel lonely, we don't love ourselves enough. So we want to be with another person to close that void. But when you are single, you can do so much. Like you can reach most of your goals and dreams in life. That's what I've been currently doing,
mm,
and I'm excelling because I'm like, had I had a husband or had I had a family of my own, everything was going to be limited because now I need to divide myself and share myself into millions of pieces instead of just focusing
mm,
on and pouring to my glass. So my glass has been empty for a very long time, but now that I'm
mm,
discovering myself and I'm starting to love myself, I feel good. And now I'm like, it's okay to be single, okay? But it gets lonely and boring, but it's okay to be single.
mm.
Yeah.
Right. I can definitely relate to the lonely and the boring, because sometimes there is moments that you want to share with your partner, you want to share in the growth, in the wins. And how are you guys navigating through that? Having those highs in your life where you just like, what, I really want to share this with someone, I really want to share this joke with someone, and also having your lows,
Yeah.
right? And where you just like, I just want to be held at this point.
Yeah.
I just want to be told everything is going to be okay, and I only need this from a companion. Phineas?
I mean, the Bible says it's not good for a man to be alone. So, so I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend that people become like Paul. Definitely not Paul. I've noticed and realized that a part
Mm,
of who I am and how God designed me is for family. And that's why I don't
mm,
Valentine Day. I don't like this family days and stuff because they trigger parts of you
okay.
that are still sleeping. But also they reveal a part of you that is part of who you are and who you're going to become. I think the most important thing is to realize the timing and the season, because I think sometimes we bring the wrong things in the right season. So I think it's important to discern those things, but also to have friends and a company that kind of holds you accountable. So I have friends and people that hold me accountable
Mm,
the season that I'm in, so that I don't get a little bit distracted. But it's not easy. It is hard. It is lonely.
mm,
Um, but I think when you have a relationship with God and you have great friends who don't make you feel like there's something wrong with you, especially for me being a
wrong
man,
with you, yes.
and people trying to hook you up with people, um, and people thinking there's something wrong with you, and your auntie's asking, when are you having kids? And I'm like, yes, can you guys just leave me alone a little bit? That peer with it. So there is pressure. But I think that
Mm.
for me, I try to take care of my mental health as much as possible.
Mm. And Kia, before you proceed to answer that question, I also just want you to also elaborate into what Phineas was saying about societal judgment and pressures, in a sense that at a certain time you're expected to have certain things, you're expected to be somewhere, in life with a companion, right? I mean, we are definitely starting to evolve into the new age of that women are also working and they are also achieving certain dreams. Just comment on that and how you've been able to sort of block out the societal judgments and the pressures that come with being single. But
Well,
first,
the getting worse because like everyone has like these expectations of you, or you see your peers getting married and having kids and you're not there yet. But I believe that God's timing is always perfect. I'm not in a rush to be a parent or to get married because I don't think I'm ready for it. So I feel like that's why God is like delaying me in a way, and that's why I have to focus more
right.
on my career. So I keep myself busy by focusing on my career and surrounding myself with my loved ones, my family members, and my friends. So I don't let the society get to me because the society won't pay the bills. The society won't support me. The society won't help me.
Yes.
Like, the society won't help me sort out my relationship issues with my husband. They're not gonna be there. They're just gonna look at it from the outside, but not from the inside. A lot of people who may be married are going through a lot, but they don't talk about it
Yes.
because they're giving us what they want us to see. So looks can be deceiving, and I'm staying in my own
Yes.
lane, running my own race. That's how
All
I'm doing.
right.
I'm doing absolutely well.
And how are you navigating the urge to tell someone about your day, tell someone about your lows, your highs? How do you navigate through that?
Um, I have family and friends who I normally talk to on a daily basis, so they know what's happening in my life. But sometimes I do
Mm.
get in relationships, even though that relationships are a bit tricky these days because people date you for what you have. You feel me? So
Mm.
people are not, they don't come with pure intention. They date you because, oh, you're a corporate girl. Oh, you have 2 degrees. Oh, you don't have kids yet. Oh, you live in this certain area. So they date you for what you,
Mm.
I don't like that. So I'm very picky on who I date. But normally I'm
Right.
with my family and friends about what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with. Yes.
Mm. Um, Thank you for that, Sikia. I think Unomtandazo is here. If she's ready to just switch on her camera and join us, she can just quickly introduce herself and then we can proceed with the conversation. Unomtandazo, are you there? You can unmute yourself.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are both.
Yeah, I am
You
so
can just
sorry.
quickly introduce yourself. No, that's okay. We're
Yeah,
just happy you finally been able to join us.
Women's Month, so there were a lot of women engagements that were happening. But nonetheless, my name is Nomtana Zunkosi, and I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say, but I always say that my purpose in life is to honor God before anything and everything else. So whenever I'm talking anyway, I think it's futile if I don't say that important part. But yeah, I'm not sure if there's something else that I need to say, what I do, or if I just keep it at that.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
This is Phineas, this is Kia. I am Nkosing Pile, your host today. You'll
lovely to
just sort
meet
of pick it up along the way. Kia and Phineas, we were talking about navigating singlehood in the sense that there are highs and lows that you'd like to share with your significant other. There are times where you want to be held. And then also Phineas touched on societal judgments and pressures, and I just would like to hear your comment on that.
comments on what they've both said, ne?
Yeah.
So,
And how you feel about it. Yeah.
okay. So, my dad has always said that before you enter into marriage or relationships, it's very important for you to have an alone season. So an alone season would be where you are establishing yourself, where you're spending time with yourself, where you're getting to know yourself more, because it's harder to navigate relationships if you've not navigated a relationship with yourself and you have a full cognizance of who you are, where you're going, what you like, what you don't like. So in my instance, in that season of aloneness, not loneliness, aloneness. So I am alone, but I'm not lonely, because I'm
mm.
trying to get to know myself more, especially me, because I come from a very strict family. So I went to school, I didn't date, I didn't do much. And then immediately after that, I had to jump into varsity. Yeah, but so I needed to know myself outside of the guardianship of my parents, outside of everything, outside of the pressures. So it's very important to have, I think someone spoke about career. It's very important to have a career, very important to know what you love and focus on that. And also manage your time. I think I'm a good advocate, and I always preach the good gospel of time management, to be able to manage your time, delegate tasks, find what to do. And in as much as there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I don't know if you all know that, but in Maslow's hierarchy of needs speaks about your needs as a human being. So it's a five pyramid type of structure. The first one would be food and water and whatever, right? So before a person thinks of relationships, their first needs need to be satisfied. So if I am hungry and I am living, I'm homeless, I'm staying on the road, I cannot think of relationships when my immediate needs are not addressed, right? So where I'm going, I'll continue with the pyramid, but where I am going is that the business might not take away how you feel, the loneliness maybe, or the need to have a partner. But so after the food and whatever, it's job security, right? So before I even think, that's why I don't understand when people are looking for relationships instead of looking for a job or a means of income, because you should not be feeling a sense of, oh, now I want to have a partner, I want to belong. You don't have a job. You're looking in the wrong places. You're looking at the wrong places. That's why even when Adam was in the garden, he was given work before given Eve, right? So in that alone season, that's where you need to establish yourself. That's where you need to do a whole lot of things to make sure that, so victory likes preparation. So when you are prepared for a relationship, it is most likely going to succeed because it found you prepared for it. Then Maslow also speaks of a whole of other things. The last one is self-actualization. So in as much as you will have the feeling of, oh no, now I need a partner, now I need what? The first thing that you need to do is to address your immediate needs. Even as a lady, why are you looking for relationships when your life is not in order? I always say that when I look for a partner, I look for someone who has his shit together, excuse my French, because I have my shit together, right? So in as much as it gets really, 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 really lonely, but you keep on keeping on, right? And also having a relationship with God is very important because you understand why, I wouldn't want to have a one night stand or let me just sleep with someone because I feel a sexual desire. The Holy Spirit speaks about having the spirit of temperance and self-control. So in that alone season, those are things that God addresses with you. That's when God sharpens you, right? So even if it gets lonely, I can't go out in the streets and have a one night stand. It doesn't speak to the person that I am and what I am here on earth to do. So when I speak of knowing yourself, having a relationship with yourself and so forth, it addresses all of this. That's why alone season is so important. I have a sister. We come from a Sheikh family. She immediately jumped into being married, right? And we're happy. But what she struggles with now is to navigating her relationship with herself, because immediately you are married, you have a child now. You don't have time for yourself. You don't have time to, and she was studying while married. There's a lot. And for me, I feel like had she not skipped the stage of self-establishment, she would be further in life and happier. But yeah, I hope I've said one or two things.
You know what? I want Gia to get in on this, and you spoke about what I'm gonna sum up as self-love, right, and self-care. So Gia, I just also want to find out from you, how has being single cultivated your journey in self-care and self-love?
Oh my word. Well, like I said, since I've been focusing on myself, I've been discovering more about myself. I've been realizing more about myself. I've been loving myself more. Like, I don't need someone else to love me. I need to love myself more than the next person. So then, with loving myself made me focus more on my relationship with God as well, because you can't just focus on yourself without involving God. So I've been working this journey so that God can lead me, guide me, show me the ways. So basically, this journey has been between me and God, and yeah, just doing what I love as well, because I love my career so much because I do public relations and marketing. So I love my career. So doing what I love has also helped me to love myself more, because I love what I'm doing. So I'm going to put in more effort. And nowadays I put myself first. I'm a bit selfish. Nowadays I'm selfish. Don't judge me. I put myself first. I focus on the things that I value and appreciate. If someone doesn't put in the same effort, I let them go. So it's all about me, it's all about me. This year has been about me, what I want, how I want things to be. So I've been selfish throughout the.
And I guess being single does come with a very much needed sense of selfishness, because you're very particular with regards to how you want to spend your time, who you want to spend your time with, for how long, and because you know when to draw the line. And Phineas, how about you? Do you have anything to add onto that with regards to self-love and self-care in singlehood?
I would say self-care is very important. I think sometimes when you think about self-care, a lot of people think you're just being selfish. But I think boundaries are very important when you are single, especially when you have been in a relationship and you are healing, because we are most vulnerable to injury. So I have very strict boundaries. I know who to hang out to hang out with. I know where to hang out. So I've become slightly I wouldn't say selfish, but self-aware of what I really need, and what makes me the man that I am and where I want to go. I think also when you have a vision, you are very narrow-minded. You are very focused, and anything that shouldn't be in that season, or is not taking you where you are supposed to be, it kind of falls off, because as you elevate, there are certain things that needs to fall off. I think my healing journey has a lot to do with therapy, because something that I believe in is that women are not a rehab for broken men. No men an ATM for broke women. So it is very important to understand that, and I'm very grateful that I got to talk with women of sound mind who understand that it's important to have their own stuff. It's important to be interdependent. It is important as a woman to know who you are and to understand that God also gave you a purpose. It's not just for men. But I had to understand is that having a vision as a man is very important. It's part of self-care. But also, because the reality that we're living in is that people are trying to heal through other people.
Right. Yeah.
I have a cousin, one day she told me that she wants a boyfriend. I was like, no, you don't need a boyfriend, you need a father. And there's a lot of girls who are looking for their father in men, and they end up in the wrong hands. So I think it's important to know yourself to the point where you know what you need. So I'm a plant parent now, because I don't know, there's something about plants and healing. I have a dog. I have a dog called Fab, like Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb, I love Phineas and Ferb.
So I enjoy reading, I enjoy hiking, I enjoy helping people and serving people. So I'm very much focused on my calling right now, because I believe in a pyramid where my eyes are on Jesus right now. And the more I look at him, if the woman is on the other side, the only way they can find me is in him. So you gotta have to go through Jesus to get to me. There's no shortcut to who I am. So I think a man who's found in Christ can be kept through Christ. A woman who can be found in Christ can be kept through Christ.
Amen.
So I always believe that how you get a woman and how you get a man will determine what you will need to use to keep them. If it's your body, then you gotta keep your body on point. You know, so for me, self-care is not just physical, it's very much spiritual. Because we are spiritual beings. So I would tell people that as much as you're taking care of your physical being, take care of your soul,
Right.
because it's gonna raise your children and keep your partner.
Mm. Um, it's like you said, Phineas, it's so interesting to have a conversation with open-minded people and people who are aware of, where we are now in terms of times and all that. And from you, Gia, I'd like to hear your point of view. It could be from personal experience, but we've seen a very evident sort of shift with regards to gender roles, right? Where people are definitely preferring to stay single because the men are getting emasculated, and also the women now are using men as ATMs, instead of treating relationships for what they were supposed to be traditionally. What are your comments on that?
Honestly, I want to talk about my experience or my experiences.
Okay.
In most of my relationships, I've always been Bob the Builder. I've always been like the provider, because I would dim my light, date a guy who's not really like on my level. So I would just be like, because I like this guy, I want to close that word of being alone. Let me give him a chance, even though I know this guy can't provide. I'm not saying a man must build me a house or do major things. And I'm talking about like the bare minimum, like let's go out on a date. And I would be with guys who don't like dates. They don't want to go out on a date. If we go out on a date, I'm the one who pays. So then I decided to remain single because I can't be with a man who can't like do the bare minimum for me, but he expects me to do things for him. But then my mom was like, it's not about the men, it's about the type of men that you attract. You are what you attract. I was like, maybe I'm the problem. I need to like reevaluate and just think about this. Then I was like, you know what? Let me just stay in my corner and do me. Now men are coming, proper men. So how did I do it? I stayed in my corner. I stopped looking for love and I let love find me. So I stopped looking for
Oh, wow.
and men started coming. So now I'm like, it can only be God. So yeah. But normally a man is a provider. I just want to put it out there. A man is a provider, right? But he can only provide to a woman who's trying. You can't just sit there and be like, you want a man to do A, B, C, D, but you can't do it for yourself. Be what you want. That's who I am. If I want a man who's a corporate man or who's a working class guy, I need to be corporate too. So my mom says, be what you want. Always remember to be what you want. That's how you attract a decent person into your life. So yeah.
And Phineas, let's hear the male perspective with regards to this, because this is definitely a conversation that is up in the air in our country right now. You have your girlies who are in the princess eras, who want to be catered to, and it's not a bad thing. Like Gia is saying, it's not a bad thing to want nice things for yourself and want your man to do them for you, but obviously not when you just, sitting down and just receiving. But I also just would like to hear a male perspective with regards to this conversation.
You know what? I'm very glad that I'm hanging out with queens in this house, not circuses. Uh, because like you said, you attract who you are. If you want a king, you better behave like a queen. If you want a clown, become a circus. So I usually tell people that you can date the same person in different bodies. So I'm a trauma counselor. So a lot of what I do is I speak about trauma a lot of times, but let me not go into that. I think something that I'm getting from this conversation, especially when you use the word provide, right? You look at the word provision. There's a vision in there. So for me, I believe that a man who can provide a vision for his family, that's a legacy. Just providing a house and providing a car and providing some money, that means nothing. I think the greatest thing that a man can provide for his family is a vision, it's a legacy. It is something that's going to last them after they die. And a lot of times when people think of provision, they think material things, but somebody can come and steal my car. A house can bend down, but the vision cannot be taken away. So I think that as much as we focus on providing and protecting, one of the things that we need to understand about men is that we are pioneers. We are visionaries. We think beyond, what our existence on Earth. And that's something that I had to tap into is leaving a legacy for my children, not just my jacket, you know. You know,
Yes.
that's happening. So I do believe that traditionally men should be providers. But, you know, to be a traditional man, you got to be a traditional
You need a
woman as
traditional
well.
woman.
You know, so because sometimes we expect men to be traditional men, but are we willing to be traditional women? You know, and I'm not talking about submission in a toxic way, because I believe that submission is inspired, not demanded.
Yes, yes.
So a woman submit under a man who is submitted to God,
Amen.
and the Bible
Mm.
speaks about submission. So I don't promote women submitting to men who don't submit to God, or who are demanding to be submitted to, when they're not carrying themselves in a way that they are worthy of being submitted to. So women should be treated like queens. But I think men also, we need to understand that we also want to be loved, man. Men are very soft. They want to be affirmed. They want to be loved. And I think one of the things that a woman can give a man is peace and respect. Because I'm telling you, a man that has peace and have respect for you will do anything for you. So for us, we interpret love as respect. Women interpret love as respect, you know, and we interpret respect as love. So it's the other way around. So I think learning each other is very important. But I think, you know, as much as women are becoming, you know, they are working and they're having their own things together, which is very important. Let's not do that at an expense of disempowering men. You know what I'm saying? Because a man that doesn't feel needed in a relationship, I'm telling you right now, he's gonna leave you, because every man and every human being wants to feel needed in a relationship. It doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you can't open the door. I know you can, but let me open. It doesn't mean you can.
It's just better when you do it.
What I'm saying, but let me carry the bags. You know, it's that I know you're capable. You can do those things to you, but hey, your nails are polished and they look nice. You shouldn't be carrying that. You know, let me help you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
I hope we have men watching now, because this is good advice.
Yeah, I believe in equality. I believe that women should be, you know, equal to men in the sense of, you know, the work that they get to do. But we also need to acknowledge their different roles that a man and a woman play at home, because a man can never be a woman and a woman can never be a man. You know, I believe that it takes both genders to really build a holistic family that glorifies God. So yeah.
Right. Wow. I'm not sure if Nomtanda is gonna join us back, but when she does, she can definitely have an input with regards to that too. You know, there's a very interesting aspect on things now, and I think I just want I want to hear what you guys think about it, right? Polygamy. Where, you know, there is definitely, it's becoming a trend. And, you know, some people are saying that there's more women than men, and therefore one man can't have just one woman. So we need to be, you know, entering into these polygamous relationships and marriages. I'd like to hear your point of view with regards to that sort of way of looking at things. You know, you are finding even polygamous girlfriends at this point. It's no longer wives. Nomthandazo?
Yes, I've been here. It's just that I don't know. Am I not supposed to switch off my camera, even when I'm
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So, yeah. But I think in a biblical context, I think it's Paul. I believe it's Paul who says that if it were up to me, I would say people must not marry so that they focus on the work of the ministry. But if unentshisakalo, then you should marry. But I think that tells us that not everyone will be married. And that's maybe something that we have not come into terms with, that not everyone is going to be married. However, okay, let me finish with the biblical context. The Bible says, when a person is a priest, they are supposed to be a husband to one wife, right? So I think when it comes to polygamy, it also goes back to belief. What do you believe in? If you believe that I'm a Christian and whatever, then you know what it entails. But if you have other religious beliefs or cultural beliefs that make you want to say, oh no, I don't want one wife, I want two because I want a bigger family. I've actually had a situation where someone was so hell-bent at convincing me to be a part of his table. But for me, that was not my portion. Like, honestly, that was not my portion. I'm just like, I don't think I'll be able to navigate that. That's not how I've pictured my life. If I would move away from the biblical context, me as a person, I don't have a problem with it. People can do it. You know, they have their own reasons, right? And I think it works. As long as it doesn't harm anyone, I think it works in a lot of settings. But my concern would be the reason why the family structure is a mom, a dad, and kids, or a wife and a husband in one roof. There's a reason for that. Because how are you raising kids in 5 different homes when you cannot be there all the time? You know? So my concern would be, are we not raising broken families? Are we not creating broken families by one person having 5 other homes to be at and to be the head of those homes? You know, so personally, right. I don't have a problem, but I just have that concern. We'll see, how is it affecting the family structure? How is it affecting the children as well in terms of growth? Because children do need both. Like the previous speaker spoke about, a lot of people needing father figures instead of boyfriends, you know? So, but yeah, that would be my 2-cent contribution with regards to that.
Right. And Kia, what about you? Are you willing to leave the singleness life to get into polygamy if push comes to shove?
Honestly, I'm against polygamy because it's like your partner is not good enough. It's like cheating. I don't forgive cheating. I don't stay when I find out that my partner is cheating. So I'm really against it, because if your person or your wife is good enough, why do you need a second one, a third one, a fourth one? That means your wife is not good enough for you, or she's lacking certain characteristics that you are finding in B, C, and D. So I'm against it. I don't have a problem with people who are practicing it, but for me, I would never do it. I don't recommend it for myself. Like, I'm against it. No. That means you're not good enough. I'm good enough. I'm a 10. So now you're going to bring other people because I have an attitude. Oh, that one is soft. Oh, that one doesn't clap. Oh, you drink that. My guy, choose one woman, stay loyal to her. So that's why people cheat, because they want to practice polygamy. So no, I'm against it. Sorry.
Wow. And Phineas, do you have any thoughts with that? Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, you know, there is a good number of women who do want to be married and do want to, you know, have families, but the male population is decreasing. You know? So this is another way to curb that. So do you have any comments, Phineas?
Well, I think it is men making decisions about women's lives. And I don't know if it was the other way around, men will be okay with that. You know, so I think for me, polygamy is a legal drug. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral. Just because it's culturally right, it doesn't mean, you know, it's biblically right. So it is not something that women want. It is something that is being imposed to women by men, because even this cultural thing, you know, a man can spread himself, you know, but mostly because you trying to have a legacy of children, you know, and spread your surname. And a lot of it has a lot to do with ego, you know, because men, a lot of times we struggle with ego. And we end up coming up with all these cultural things that are very selfish, that feed us, not really women. And like I said, I don't think men will be okay if this idea came from women, because it will be oppressive. So I don't agree with it. The Bible says, you know, 2 become 1. It doesn't speak about, you know, 5 becoming 1. So I don't know. But also, like, you know, somebody said, it's all based on what you believe. If you are a cultural man, and not biblical, don't have a biblical background, of course, it is normal for that to happen. But as somebody that knows God and what God requires of us, I don't think it is something that, I don't personally think that is right. But if I go to my village, it is what it is. It is okay.
It is
I actually say you're only a cheater after you have the seventh wife. If you have
but
yeah, everybody's fine until it hits seven. It hits seven, but you're a cheater. And it's unfortunate because a lot of those men become absent fathers, which I have a very big problem. We live in a society where fathers are not present. They're only present to get chicken feet, so not raising a child. So yeah.
Wow. Nomthanda has touched on a very important point about not everyone is going to get married. Are we ready to address that? Are we ready to be secure in our singleness and be single forever? What's the plan when we don't walk down the aisle? Have we prepared ourselves for that aspect of things? Was it that could literally be what it is? I'm single and this could be for me forever. And what's the plan if that happens, Gia?
Well, I told myself that if I don't get married, I'll have a lifetime partner. We don't have to get married. You can just stay together, do what couples are doing, and just close that void. We don't have to, I do, sign papers, Home Affairs knows about it. No. We together, because nowadays when some people get married in community of property, and when the marriage ends, it's a big drama. Like, you can't just wake up and get a divorce. It's scary because
Right.
divorce rate right now, it's very scary. So I'm like, it's okay.
Yes.
Just have some partner, have someone that you're busy with, and keep it moving. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay. I love to partner.
What about you? What about you, Phineas? I mean, I know you said you are in your healing season and you're really enjoying it right now, but do you ever see yourself getting back into things? And how does that look for you? Have you prepared yourself mentally for that?
Listen, I tried to be like Paul, but I realized that I'm not gifted like this. It's not my calling. And I don't, it's not a desire that God has put inside of me. God created me for family. And it is my hope one day that I get married and I build a family, whether it's my own biological children or I get to adopt, I don't care. Because there's a calling for me to be a father to the nations. And that requires a woman on the side as well, because again, I believe in the nuclear family of raising children and people. So I don't think, Just our Paulus, nah, it's not for me. Even if I become like my sister there, and then I have a friend, I'm telling you, we're not gonna be friends. Something's gonna go down. I'm sorry.
Nomthanda, so what about you?
So now what Kia said, I can't resonate with that, because I always say that my purpose of being in a relationship is to get married. I know people say, "Oh no, marriage, whatever." If I didn't believe in marriage, then I wouldn't date. It is as simple as that. So if I go on a date with you, I will ask you, what is your belief of marriage and so forth, so that we don't waste time. I believe in marriage. I want to be married. And I don't even believe that we need to date for long. I don't believe we need to do it over 2 years, because when you know, right? So I don't think that God can put a burning desire in me to say, oh, I want to have a home, I want a family structure. And that's what I come from. My parents are happily married. They've been married, and it's a healthy Black love where they're able to even kiss each other. You know, for us, it's not foreign. I know people jump when people kiss, but now my parents are lovey-dovey like that. You know, I've never heard my dad call my mom by her name. You know, we even forget her name because it is just that healthy type of home. My sister got married young, like I said, so I come from that background. So I believe in God so much that I would not have the desire if He did not have it in His plans for me.
Wow. Look, I resonate with all of you. Gia, I honestly also feel like if push comes to shove, life partnership might be in the cards for me. Because, but I love what Nomthandazo is talking about in the sense that I don't think this desire for it would be so strong within me if it's not something that, you know, is meant for me. And I think I always find comfort in that look. I always have these conversations with my friends. Would see you know, I can beast out in the world and slay in the corporate rooms and boardrooms. But at the end of the day, I want to come home to a family that I can take care of, you know, a family I can cook for, I can nurture. And that is a desire that is within me. And I think maturing is realizing that that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you or there's certain parts of you, you know, your femininity that you're giving up or your hustle that you're giving up. So let me just find out from you guys, if you were to create your perfect person, so if God was like, hey, here's a pen, here's a paper, what do you want? What and let's be realistic, guys. Let's be realistic in creating this person. Now we entering into the arts of manifestation. So if you were to create your person right now, a person who you want to enter your life and be, you know, your companion, your wife, your husband, your life partner, how would that look like? I'll start with you, Kia.
Okay, first of all, educated, financially stable, no kids, God fearing, no career orientated, family orientated, good looking, because looks are very important. You need to make cute babies, so you need to be with a good looking person. That's what I normally say.
Okay.
No, for real. Responsible, you know, respectful, humble, a great communicator, because I studied communication. I know a lot of people are not good when it comes to it, or they fail to be good at it. So a great communicator, a good listener, a very generous person.
Right.
I'm looking for a rich man, but a generous man. Generous men are the best. Even if they don't have, they will give. Whether it's time, attention, everything. So yeah, there's the type of, and tall, because I'm short, so I'm looking for a tall man. You know, slow. I have curves, and that's the man I want to be with. Yes, that's my dream man.
From your lips to God's ears. And Phineas, what would your perfect woman be like?
Oh yeah. That's a tough one. That's a very tough question. Sure. Yeah, that's a hard one. Mostly because of my beliefs. That's why it's difficult. Because I think God gives you what you need, not what you want. Because marriage is about holiness. It's about dying to self, to your own desires, to His desires, and sometimes what we have on paper does not look like the person in front of you. Because you know, God brings the goal of marriage is not to make us happy, but to make us holy. And the process of that requires a little bit of dying and becoming more like Jesus. So I would say somebody who's just in love with Jesus, man. Because when you are in love with Jesus, everything comes from that place. You know, the things that my sister mentioned about being generous, being a good listener, like being Jesus, those things get to be a byproduct of being in a relationship with this being called God. So I wouldn't really have specifics, but I know that anything that's going to keep me in that marriage is their obedience and their love for Jesus. Anything else doesn't really matter so much, because I think marriage for me is not a goal. I think it's a pathway to something bigger, of living out our purpose and not missing our mark on earth. So yeah, I used to be married, like I said before. I used to have a list, but I got humbled. And right now I'm just praying your will be done, not mine. So yeah, but I wouldn't want somebody that I'm not, to be honest. So I'll always strive to be what I want to see in somebody else. So, yeah.
Nomthandazo, what about you?
For me, I think the most important is to have a man that's after God's heart, right? Because I think the Bible in First Corinthians tells us what love is and the fruit of the Spirit, and that God is love, right? So I believe that if you're after God's heart and your aim is to honor God, then you would not treat me in a way that doesn't honor God or that doesn't reflect the love of God. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect, but you would not intentionally dishonor God by how you treat me. And that is in terms of character. But I do want someone that is educated, someone that is driven, because I think as an entrepreneur, I don't have certain work hours. I am very dedicated to my work, right? So without me, my work doesn't function as it should. Yeah, but so I wouldn't want someone who is slacking, someone who's gonna feel like, oh no, you're busy. I want us to have a very balanced life, because I think also we cannot romanticize poverty. So I want someone who understands that the goal is to create generational wealth. We cannot romanticize poverty as if God has called us to it. If there are streets of gold in heaven, that should tell you that God wants us to prosper and succeed in all aspects of our lives. So I think in conclusion, someone that's just after God's own heart, and he must be told, because I am told, like I'm not about to look down on you like this all the time. I can't. So you must be tall. Unfortunately, that is a requirement. You must be tall. But yes.
Wow. Once again, from your guys' lips to God's ears. You know what? I'm always.
I just feel short for my small brothers, But there's a lot of Kevin Hart.
From the young ages, we've been saying tall, dark, and handsome, and I guess it's still something we're striving for. But you know what? I'm always also saying I would want a man who's kind, and we tend to overlook the word kind, right? I would want someone who's really kind, even in the times when he hates me, we're arguing, he really dislikes me in that moment. But I want someone who I can fight with in kindness, because in relationships, you tend to fight and you say things that you can't take back, right? But if I can find, I mean, with all the qualities that you guys have said and mentioned, I'd like to just substantiate with kindness, because if I can fight with you and we can have an argument and you fight with me with kindness, then we can move forward from that, we can grow from that, and we can build from that, right? And I think that is just one of my main ones, a kind man. Because being kind doesn't mean that you don't get angry or you don't get agitated. It just means that when you are, you really do take everything you say to heart, and you think about the next person, right? So guys, this has been a really beautiful conversation. Adon and I have learned so much from all three of you. ningikhulisile sithi ngesiZulu ingane iyakhuliswa ngiyona-ke ingane but ngikhulile namhlanje. And thank you so much for this conversation. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. So I just want to get some final words and final thoughts from you guys before we say goodbye to our audience. Kia, any final words, any final thoughts with regards to today's conversation?
All I can say is that we plan, but God decides. So you can plan in a relationship, remain single, but God will decide at the end of the day. Those are my last words.
Powerful. Phineas?
What I will say, because like I said, I work with women who are victims of gender-based violence, homelessness, and human trafficking. I think what I will say to every woman out there is that don't lower your standards. Like, do not, do not lower your standards when it comes to being in a relationship, because that is very important. That women are found whole, focused in who they are and their identity, and they don't allow men to use them as a doormat, because I see that too much. And there's an expression where they say abuse is unbearable when you don't know your identity. And it is very encouraging to be in your company to see women who really know who they are, because it's very hard to know who they are and who know their identity and why they're here. So respect to you guys, but I think we need more women who are very rooted in who they are, and they challenge men to become better men, because we do need you to help us become better men, because there's a reason why God called us, help us, to call us higher, not to become a rehab, but to hold us accountable when it comes to who God created us to be. So I will say to every sister out there, please do not lower your standards. If you want that tall, black, handsome man, God made you, but do not lower your standards. If you have a career, if you have goals, focus on your goals, and be a woman who has their own things, and can be able to take care of themselves before they can take care of other people. So that's a message from myself. Thank you.
Definitely words of encouragement there. It's so refreshing to hear words like this coming from a man. So thank you for that, Phineas. Thank you so much for that. Nomthandazo, any last words, last thoughts?
So Hannah in the Bible says, Lord, I want a child. God, can you give me a child, right? Like my brother was saying about relationships, your needs must meet what the heavens want. So God needed Samuel, but Hannah needed a child, right? Hannah needed a son. There's a point where they would go to the mountain, but Hannah would remain in church and pray and say, God, please give me a child, and I will dedicate this child back to you. So what I'm saying is, and at the end, God gave Hannah Samuel. Samuel stayed in the church because Hannah kept her promise to say, I will honor you with that child. And then God gave her 3 more kids, right? So what I am saying is, whichever area you honor God in, God is bound to multiply it. So if you truly, truly, truly are intentional about marriage and so forth and family structure, you need to be able to honor God now and honor your body, which is the temple of God. So how you carry yourself, how you, like I said, that victory likes preparation. So may you be found prepared when heavenly anointed and appointed time comes. May it find you ready. And to the ladies, I would say that don't think because it doesn't add value, it's not subtracting. If that man is not adding any value in your life, he is definitely subtracting something. You may not see it, but you'll see it later, because a person who stays in the toilet for too long will start thinking that feces smell nice. Will start thinking that the toilet smells nice. So if that man is not adding any value, you need to let it go, because one way or the other, he is taking something. And I actually have a question before we conclude here, and I think I would be making a mistake because it's been in my mind, right? Maybe Phineas can just answer me briefly before we go. So what I don't understand, right? Let's say people get into a relationship, and I just want you to look at this in a general sense, that people get into relationships. The man is authoritative, has authority. And we like that. We like a man with authority, not an abusive man, but a man with a sense of authority and direction, right? So that man is willing to be taken care of, you do this, you do that. But when it comes to finances, he's willing to be a man until it is time to provide. I believe in a traditional family structure, and that's what I grew up in, right? So why is it that in relationships, a person will do everything, you'll even get sexual intercourse and whatever, but when it comes to providing, they'll be like, oh, but you're not my wife. I'm waiting for that. But every other thing that is exercised in marriage is fully exercised in relationships. And I don't want you to look at this in a Christian point of view, but in just a general sense as to why are we allowing everything that happens in marriage to happen in relationships until it is finances, and you're like, go ask your dad. I'm not you. It really baffles me. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. I'm excited for this one. Phineas, indulge us, please.
Oh man, I really, when it comes to a man stepping up and playing that role of a husband, the first thing I think you need to do, you need to know your man. You need to know your person. You need to know what they cannot do and what they cannot. I think sometimes we expect things from men that they don't have. And we put them in situations where there's too much pressure, and they try because us, we can fake it, man. We can fake it, we can manipulate, we will tell you things until we get what we want. I think the one thing that you don't want to do with men is to put them in a season that they shouldn't be in, or to demand them to perform, because we can only perform for so long. And somebody once told me that don't let a boyfriend keep you away from your husband. Like you said, it can't be a practice run kind of thing. For example, there are women who are dating and they will expect the monthly allowances. But what if I'm saving that money for lobola? You know what I'm saying? But they say, but fine, the sense go badge once you want to do your hair, you want to do your nails, but my finances are I'm thinking there. When are you thinking here? And as a man, we are very strategic. We can't always tell you what we plan because we want to surprise you. So if the money that I'm saving is for lobola, don't ask me to take in charge of lobola for me really. For hair, you know what I'm saying? Because I need to honor the savings for a specific thing. But right. I do think that there is the Bible says, I'm sorry, I'm a man of God, so I'm gonna put it like this: a woman does not become a wife on the wedding day. You're not found; you are found as a wife. So when you find me, you'll find me as a husband. So I won't have to become your project and turn me into a husband. So that's why it's very important that we have discernment to be found as, not as to be found as a project where we have to change. I'm going to change this man, or I'm going to change this woman. You can't make somebody a wife and you can't make somebody a husband. You have to be found them as. There are some men who are single, but you look at them, it's like, this guy is a husband, because they carry themselves, they have the anointing of being a husband. So it's some women, like, honestly, with you guys in here, you have those characters of Proverb 31 woman. You carry yourself like a wife, even though you're not that. So I think you need to discern and find people as they are, not as a project that and have to exhaust yourself to turn them into something that they actually don't want to become. Because some guys, they want to be players, they don't want to become men. You know, be very hard for you to try to turn a boy into a man, because it's not your responsibility, by the way, ladies, to turn a boy into a man. It is the role of the fathers. And if he's still a boy, let him be a boy until he becomes a man. But don't try to turn him into a project where he becomes a husband, where he becomes a man, because I'm telling you, that's going to be a failed project on you. You can't expect out of me what I do not carry. If you don't put money into a bank, you can't go and try to draw out, because that means you become
yes,
out money, you know, because you didn't put anything. So I think that's why for me, when I say I'm in a healing season, that's the season that I'm in. And there will be a season where I am a husband, and I want to be found as a husband. I don't want to be found as, you know, as a patient, you know, because women have a thing. Women have a thing of nurturing, right? And sometimes men, we like being patient. And I'm sorry to say this, we're gonna make you sick the more you stick around us. You know, if you want to, yeah. So I don't know if that answers you, but I will really say this thing of test driving doesn't always work. And men, we are. That's why the reason why we come to you is because we are trained to know what to say to you to get, you know, what we want. And sometimes we have to lie and we have to perform to get to you. So I will really pray that you'll find someone as they are and not as a raw material that you need to turn into a final product.
Wow. Well, look, thank you, Nomthandazo, for that question, because I think
I don't know if I answered it. That was too deep for me. So
no, you definitely answered. You definitely answered it, you know, and you gave us a lot to think about. But unfortunately, guys, I do have to cut our conversation here, because we are here from 2 to 3. So this brings us to the end of our conversation. Join us again next month. A new panel, a new host. Probably one of our panelists here will be a host. Who knows? Next month we'll be discussing co-parenting. So join us again next time. I'll ask my panelists to switch off their cameras, and our technical person will take us out. Thank you guys for joining us. And if you guys have any questions, please put them down in the panel, on the question box. We will attend to them. Thank you so much for joining us.